Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. For the first time in 9 years, this team will not win the AFC West division. It is going to come down between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. And when you take a deeper look at Kansas City, this team is in major trouble in terms of advancing to the postseason this year. They have a 6-7 record on the season, but they have two teams in front of them in terms of being in the hunt. You have the Baltimore Ravens with a 6-7 record, the Indianapolis Colts who are 8-5. And as it stands right now, the team that has the last remaining spot in the AFC playoff picture is the Houston Texans. So even if KC was able to go out there and run the table and win out for the rest of the season, they have to have a lot of help from the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Baltimore Ravens. And this is uncharted territory for this organization. Every single year since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback in Kansas City, it has been AFC Championship, Super Bowl, or bust. And you may ask yourself, what the hell happened to this team? Just last year, they were in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, they had a lot of problems last season as well, especially in the regular season. They dealt with a lot of injuries with their offensive line, at the wide receiving position, at the running back position as well. But they were able to win those tight games. They won 10 games last season by one score. You had Patrick go out there late in games. He was being Superman, leading them into field goal range, walk-off field goals, getting big plays deep down the field too, key wide receivers, defense coming up with key sacks, key takeaways. You're not seeing that right now this season. And the first thing that I want to touch on in this video, you won 10 games by one score last year. You're 1-6 in one-score games this season. Their run game is virtually non-existent with Kareem Hunt, and the same with Isaiah Pacheco. Kareem Hunt is averaging 3.8 yards a carry, 545 rushing yards on the season, 8 rushing touchdowns. He's more so of a short yardage running back. When it's 3rd and 2, you need to pick up those tough yards. You bring in Kareem Hunt, but he's not going to get those big splash plays on the ground. And that has been the case over the last couple of years with Kareem Hunt. That is why the Cleveland Browns moved on. They felt like the big time runs that he used to get early on in his career, he was no longer capable of getting those big runs. And they were right. And last year, Kareem Hunt, he didn't get those big time runs. But when you needed a play to go for 3 to 4 yards, they went to Kareem Hunt. But in the past, Isaiah Pacheco, very good and reliable running back, tough physical runner. He doesn't have the same explosive runs anymore. He went down with a fractured fibula in 2024. Last season against the Cincinnati Bengals. He missed a lot of time. He was able to come back last season, but he didn't look the same. And he hasn't been the same running back this season either. And you're putting so much pressure on Patrick. In many games this season, Patrick has been the leading rusher. And that's not an ideal situation for any quarterback in the NFL, whether it's Patrick, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson. You're asking your quarterback to go out there and to pick up tough yards on the ground with his legs, and you're asking him to go out there and to still be a franchise quarterback. They have so many problems on the offensive end with their run game. And we've seen Andy Reid use more motion, try to find leverage to use that to his advantage. That's what he has done in the past, but it hasn't worked out this season. And the play calling hasn't been good. I know that Matt Nagy is the offensive play caller. And Matt Nagy, in my opinion, he's not a good coach. We saw that with the Chicago Bears many years ago. But Andy Reid is one of the best offensive minds that we have seen in the NFL ever. But it hasn't clicked this year. You're running shotgun plays and you're in your own 20. You're in your own 10. And it's 1st and 2nd down. So even though Matt Nagy is the offensive play caller, Andy Reid still has a lot of control of this offense and what goes on every single week. So now you have an offense that doesn't have a consistent run game. You're putting a lot of pressure on Patrick. Early on this year, Rashee Rice missed time. He was dealing with that suspension with the car accident that he caused many months ago. At this point in time, it was the main conception. You know what? When they bring in Rashee Rice, it'll open up the run game. You have to go out there. You have to cover for Rashee Rice on the outside, playing alongside Hollywood Brown, and the same with Xavier Worthy, and it'll free up Travis Kelce. And Rashee Rice is a very good wide receiver, but he's not the game changer this year. You go back to his rookie season. He was Mr. Reliable. He has not been reliable this year. He has dropped a lot of passes against the Dallas Cowboys late in the game. They needed that play. He dropped the football. That was a game-changing play. Yesterday against the Houston Texans, he dropped a lot of passes, and the same with Travis Kelce and other wide receivers as well. So now we're talking about an offense here. They can't stretch out the field with their wide receivers. They can't consistently catch passes down the field, especially across the middle. Travis Kelce is not the same player. So once again, you're putting more pressure on Patrick. And he hasn't been the same quarterback over the last few years in terms of throwing the deep ball on a consistent basis and being accurate. We have seen him miss a lot of deep passes this season to Tyquan Thornton, and the same with Xavier Worthy. They will get open, but Patrick, he misses them. You go back to the early stages of his career with Tyreek Hill. He had one of the best deep balls in the game. That has not been the case over the last 2 to 3 years, especially this season. He's not just 100% innocent in this story either. He's not a terrible quarterback. He is still one of the most talented players in this league. He is still a top-tier quarterback. But he has taken a step back. He's still able to run around and make some big-time plays, but the accuracy has not been consistent this season on a week-to-week basis. And we saw this against the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 1. They had a free touchdown deep down the field. He missed a wide receiver. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, the same thing happened to Tyquan Thornton. And even though he did have an interception in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, that was not on Patrick. He throws the football straight to Travis Kelce in the red zone. If he catches it, it goes for a touchdown. The ball pops up. It pops off the hands of Travis Kelce. It goes for an interception. And you lost this game 20-17. You get that touchdown. There's a pretty good chance that you win that game. But it came down to that one play. It is very poetic. In a bad way if you're a Chiefs fan. With the way that they're losing games this season. That is how teams lost to Kansas City last year. Drop passes, self-inflicted wounds. And that has been the story of Kansas City this season. You got your first win against the New York Giants. But that's a bad football team. And the offense, they still have some bad moments. But you can get away with that against a bad team. Then you face the Baltimore Ravens. Patrick had 4 passing touchdowns in that game. That is still the best game that he's had this season. He was phenomenal. He was dialed in. And you can talk about the injuries that the Baltimore Ravens were dealing with. Kansas City has dealt with injuries this season as well. Lamar Jackson was fully healthy to begin the game. He goes out with a hamstring injury. They boat race him. Great win for KC. Then you go against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You lose this game 31-28. Yet another one-score game. Patrick did have a touchdown that went for a pick six to Devin Lloyd. That was just a great play by the linebacker. But these are usually plays that Patrick would not make in the red zone. He throws that interception and goes for a 99-yard pick six. Late in the game, the defense, they could have sealed in the game for him. They could have won them the game. Trevor Lawrence, he slips down. He gets back up. Chris Jones, he thinks that the play is dead. He puts his hands on his hips. Trevor Lawrence gets up, he wraps around, goes in. That's the game. So your defense didn't help you out, and Patrick had a bad moment in that matchup against Jacksonville. Once again, one bad moment lost you this game essentially. Against the Lions at home, you completely dominated them 30-17. Against the Las Vegas Raiders, best win of the season. You defeated them 31-0. Against the Washington Commanders, another great win, 28-7. But against the Buffalo Bills, you ran into some bad moments here. Patrick was 15-34. 250 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Your run game was not consistent. Your wide receivers could not separate. But the offensive line was terrible. They put a lot of pressure on Patrick. And we have seen him deal with pressure over the last few years in his career. You go back to that Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pretty much the entire offensive line was injured. But they put so much pressure on him, it was only so much he can do. Against the Philadelphia Eagles last year in the Super Bowl, they put a lot of pressure on him. Look at what happened. They lost that game. So in this game against the Buffalo Bills, and this is the Bills defense that's been up and down this year, for them to put that much pressure on Patrick was very alarming if you are a Chiefs fan. They ran some quick outs. They ran some screens. It just didn't work. Sean McDermott caught on to the game plan with Kansas City, and he outcoached Andy Reid. And you lost this game by 1 score, 28-21. Against the Denver Broncos, a back and forth game. The Broncos end up with the ball. They're the last team. They go out there, they kick that field goal. You lose this game 22-19. Patrick had yet another bad interception in this game. But wide receivers are running the wrong routes. You have two wide receivers in the same position of the field. So the timing isn't there with the wide receivers. It's a lot of miscommunication, things that we haven't seen in the past with Kansas City. Then you go over to the next game here against the Indianapolis Colts. You win this game in overtime, 23-20. Kansas City started this game off very slow, but your defense was able to step up, put pressure on Daniel Jones, stop the run, send in that blitz, and you won this game by one score. But against the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans, you ran into two separate problems here. Against the Dallas Cowboys, your pass rush was non-existent. You have Chris Jones, who is still a very good player. George Karlaftis has had a down year this year. But when Chris Jones does not take over, you don't have that consistent pass rush. So Dak Prescott is willing and dealing the entire game. And Trent McDuffie, one of the best cornerbacks in the game, had the worst game of his career against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. They were picking on Trent McDuffie late in the matchup. When was the last time that we've seen Trent McDuffie give up big time plays? Well, he did in this game. And they had 10 penalties as a team. And we could talk about how bad the officiating was. It was bad for both teams here. But Kansas City having those dumb penalties on the defensive end, pass interference, first down the Dallas Cowboys, you're giving them more chances to go out there and to score points. And that is what happened. Patrick had 4 passing touchdowns in this game to 0 interceptions. Usually in the past, you'll easily win that game. Your defense will come out, they'll pin their ears back, they'll send in that signature blitz. Well, teams, they know how to beat the blitz now. You get the football out quick. You slide over the offensive line protection, and that is what Dak Prescott did. You had an interception early on against the Cowboys. But after that interception, Dak Prescott became a monster. And that is very alarming for this defense. You still have good players, but the blitz isn't hitting home, and the pass rush just wasn't the same. And the pass rush has not been the same this year. We'll see Chris Jones, who'll have an off game. That means the entire defensive line pretty much non-existent against the pass. Against the run, they're still tough against that. But if Chris Jones is not having a great game, no one else on the defensive line can get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. Now, against the Houston Texans, this game was so frustrating if you are a Kansas City fan. You lost this game 20-10. Your defense stepped up in the second half. CJ only had 3 completions. Shout out to Chris Jones. Season high 7 pressures, and he had a sack. They sent in a signature blitz by Steve Spagnuolo. They were getting home. They put a lot of pressure on the wide receivers on the back end. Mind you, in this game, Trent McDuffie went down in the first quarter with a hyperextended knee. So he wasn't able to finish out this game. And yet you still played well on the defensive end. It was your offense that was a major problem. The injuries on the offensive line finally caught up to you. You're out your starting right guard and your starting tackle. Wanye Morris, he comes in, hyperextends his knee. He's out for the rest of the game. So now you're dealing with your third string offensive line. And back to the point that I said just a couple of minutes ago, we have seen Patrick deal with nasty pass rush in the past. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's only so much a quarterback can do when his offensive line cannot protect him. And you went against the best defense in the league. He had 0 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. This was the worst game in his career. He only had 160 passing yards, but it wasn't all on Patrick. You may look at that stat line and say Patrick was terrible. He's regressing as a quarterback. He made some big time plays in this game. He's escaping Danielle Hunter and the same Will Anderson. He's getting outside the pocket. He's the leading rusher once again. But Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends of all time, had a bad drop that went for an interception, and I know that the pass was behind him. But we've seen him drop a lot of passes this year against the Jacksonville Jaguars, against the Philadelphia Eagles, and in this game. It went for an interception to Azeez Al-Shaair. Another situation late, Rashee Rice, middle of the field, similar play that he had against the Dallas Cowboys. He drops the football, and no one is around him. Then you go for it on 4th down. This is a 10-10 ball game. You go for it, you don't get it. The next thing that you know, Houston goes out there, they have a long drive, they get a touchdown. Now it's 17-10. Just costly mistakes by the wide receivers, the offensive line, and the coaching staff. Andy Reid did not believe in his defense at that point in time. He wanted to go for it on 4th down. And in the past, when they go for it on 4th down, usually they get it. You have one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. But the pieces around him, they're not performing at a high enough level for him to be successful. And I don't think that Kansas City, that they need to go out there and fully rebuild. It's not that type of situation. You still have key players on this team. Patrick is still a very good quarterback to have. You need to bring in a running back this offseason. Maybe through the NFL draft, you could bring in someone like Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. The offensive line, you have some players up front. But at the same time, this offensive line is not good enough. They missed Joe Thuney, who they traded to the Chicago Bears, and they had to. You can't pay everyone. So you have Kingsley at the left guard position. He isn't good enough. Creed Humphrey is still one of the best centers in the game. Trey Smith, he's out with an injury right now, and the same with Jawan Taylor. And Jawan Taylor has not been a good starting tackle in Kansas City. That was a bad signing. He's dealt with a lot of penalties in his tenure in Kansas City. He's let up a lot of pressures. Patrick makes him look better than what he is. If he was playing with a prototypical quarterback that did not have the athleticism like Patrick, he would easily get exposed on a consistent basis. But he's had so many dumb penalties over the last few years. But even when the offensive line has been fully healthy this year, something is still missing up front. Josh Simmons, he's on IR right now. He may be out for the rest of the season. But this is my thing with Josh Simmons. He missed time this year dealing with a personal issue. I hope everything is okay with him and his family. But before he stepped away from the team, he looked like a franchise tackle. There's something there with him, and the same with Creed Humphrey. Those are two very good players on your offensive line. Get more talent up front. And bring in an explosive running back to help out Patrick. The wide receivers here, I like Rashee Rice. Hasn't been a number one this season. Hollywood Brown, he's more so of a gadget player. Jet sweeps, can run up the seams. He's not a true number one, not a true number two. Solid number three. I've been very disappointed in Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy had a good game in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles, especially in the second half. And the Eagles were still playing tight coverage. He hasn't had the explosive component this year. He only has one receiving touchdown. This is a player that you selected in the first round for a reason. They were hoping that Xavier Worthy could be a Tyreek Hill type. He only has 456 receiving yards on 38 catches. He's averaging 12 yards a catch. Rashee Rice, who missed games this year, he has more receiving yards, 520, and 5 receiving touchdowns. And Juju Smith-Schuster, he's more so of a number 4, number 5 wide receiver. Honestly, after this season, I don't see them bringing back Juju. Not that he's just a terrible player, he's a scrub. You can just bring in someone younger and someone better. But Travis Kelce, it's time. I know that he has 727 receiving yards on the year, 5 receiving touchdowns. He's not the same player. He lost a lot of weight in the offseason. He said that he came back refreshed mentally, refreshed physically. It's time to go home. This should be his last year in the NFL. He's not that consistent target anymore. He's 36 years old. Father Time is going to hit us all. And this is the thing here with the offensive philosophy with Kansas City that doesn't get brought up enough. When they drafted Patrick, they had Alex Smith. They already had pieces in place for Patrick. You had Tyreek Hill. You had Travis Kelce. They really built this team and this system around Patrick and his connection with Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill had some big time plays before they traded him to Miami. But we've seen them be very successful in the postseason without Tyreek Hill. They don't need Tyreek Hill. But that connection with him and Travis Kelce in key situations, it brought them home. Especially against teams like the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. That gets swept underneath the rug. So the regression to Travis Kelce that has also hurt the play with Patrick as well. He doesn't have that consistent target anymore on third down. If it's 3rd and 5, usually you go to Travis Kelce even last year in the regular season. In key situations and key games, 4th and short, 3rd and short, they couldn't run the football, play action pop. Where's Travis Kelce? Middle of the field, man coverage. He gets open for 4 to 5 yards, first down. He's not doing that anymore. You have safeties now, linebackers now. They cover him in single coverage. He doesn't have the athleticism. But offensively, you need to get better up front. You have to get a better run game. And you need to bring in a dominant threat to help out Patrick in those key downs. Defensively, You selected George Karlaftis in the first round and you just gave him a contract extension, and Chris Jones still has money left in his contract as well. Your linebackers are solid against the run. You need to bring in another game-changing pass rusher. And they have injuries on this defensive line, but even when they were fully healthy, it just wasn't consistent. I don't think that the dynasty is completely over. It's not a situation to where Kansas City, we won't see them in the Super Bowl for many years to come. As long as you have Patrick and Andy Reid being the head coach and he's calling plays, you're going to be fine. I believe that this is just an off year for Kansas City. And I said this in week 3. Even though you got the win over the New York Giants, something wasn't right. I'm out on Kansas City for this season. But going into next year, they will still have a shot in the NFL. That's the one thing that we know. When you have quarterbacks like Patrick, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in the conversation in terms of being in the dance every single year. But you need to fix the pieces around Patrick. It's not a terrible football team on paper. And once again, you're losing a lot of games by 1 score. It's not like you're getting blown out every single week. I know the game last night against the Houston Texans, that was a tough blow. You lost that game by 10 points. But if Patrick doesn't have that interception to Travis Kelce late, they don't walk away with those 3 points. You don't go for it on 4th and 1. We're talking about a different situation here. You punt the football, you get the football back. So you fix your coaching and your decisions, and everything will be fine. But this is not a situation to where they should go out there, they should cut Rashee Rice, they should cut top players on the team. It shouldn't come down to that. Andy Reid, if he wants to stick around, let him stick around. Best coach in Kansas City's history. And I also want to bring this up before I let you guys go. This team has played a lot of football over the last few years, and I'm not trying to use this as an excuse, but they have made deep postseason runs every single year since Patrick has been the quarterback, going to the AFC Championship game, going to the Super Bowl. That takes a toll on you, and eventually you run out of gas. This is a team halfway towards the season. They were picking things back up, but they're gassed out right now. They just aren't good enough, and that's fine. If you're a Kansas City fan and you're very upset, you've won many Super Bowls over the last couple of years with Patrick. You'll be okay. And like I always say, you can't win forever. You're going to have some down years. You're going to deal with some injuries. That's how sports goes. Whether it's the NBA, NFL, tennis, soccer, hockey, it happens. You're not going to go out there and win 4 to 5 championships in a row. This is a team, they want to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. That is very hard to do. But at least you won back-to-back Super Bowls. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City for the rest of the season? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.